Number 4. Blood in the Shed. In 2014, a YouTuber named Josh Dominguez began filming at his house after he began to notice that his 2 dogs started acting strangely on a regular basis. Josh reported that both his dogs would grow agitated and overly alert for no reason at all. Deciding to investigate outside, Josh grabs the camera and heads into the backyard. As he narrates about the age of the house, he ventures into an old shed where he finds a blood-drenched axe sitting on a table. Terrified, Josh begins to retreat back into the house when he spots Jeff the Killer lurking at the far corner of his backyard. Josh insists that he wants to forget the entire incident, especially after notifying the police. Number 3. Letter to Mother. In this 2016 video, a man is hanging out with his daughter in their kitchen, creating a video for the girl's mother who had previously checked herself into rehab. A few seconds into the girl's video message for her mother, a loud noise outside the house startles them both. Grabbing their coats, the father and daughter duo run outside with flashlights in hand. At first, everything seems fine. Then, something in the shadows tosses a ball near the family, no doubt to scare the bejesus out of them. Seconds later, Jeff the Killer emerges, and the father rushes his daughter back inside, fearing for her safety. Number 2. Standing in the Hall. Next to nothing is known about this eerie video clip, but in terms of creepiness, it definitely takes the cake. The video begins after a young man sets the camera down facing a hallway within his home. The boy can then be seen rushing up the stairs. Out of fright? It's quite likely, as Jeff the Killer emerges from the shadows further down the hall. The looming darkness and his sinister appearance is enough to give you goosebumps. One can only hope that all of the members of the household remained unscathed during Jeff's most unfortunate visit. Number 1. The Angry Intruder. In this short video, a young girl named Lizzie is wandering outside her house, ready to make her first ever YouTube video. Her plans are quickly cut short, however, when an intimidating figure in a white hoodie appears a few feet away. Realizing just who the creepy figure is, Lizzie runs back to her house and promptly shuts the door behind her. Jeff the Killer is determined to get inside, however, and begins to beat on the door as Lizzie cries and cowers behind it. She claims that after her mother came home a half hour later, they contacted the police, but no trace of Jeff could be found anywhere in the area. And there, you have 5 Jeff the Killer sightings caught on camera and spotted in real life. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like and share it, and if you haven't already, subscribe down below to get notified almost every single day with new videos from Top 5's finest. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we are out. The world has always been fascinated by aliens, with many claiming that we've been visited repeatedly by extraterrestrials in the past. These encounters continue to be reported all over the world. With so many people equipped with video cameras on their gadgets, amateur ET video is a growing trend. Many organizations, like the Mutual UFO Network, or MUFON, MUFON, regularly track and investigate these sightings with the aim of solving this mystery once and for all. Combing through their recent articles, we decided on our top 5 alien ships caught on camera and spotted in real life. Let's begin. Number 5. Gosport, UK. This account comes out of Gosport in the UK in January 2017. A man captured what looks unmistakably like a UFO one night when he stepped out to take the trash out. He immediately noticed 3 lights in the shape of a triangle. These hovering dots seem to change colors and intensify throughout the entire video. Furthermore, they move erratically across the sky in a haphazard manner a number of times before gradually reforming the triangle again. The entire clip is 4 minutes and 23 seconds long, and the man who captured the footage actually did a pretty good job of getting a clear shot. A few times during the video, one or more of the lights disappear or move behind another, only to reappear and rejoin their original formation. Eventually, one disappears behind the roof of the houses on the other side of his street. The other two remain alit for another while before a second drops out of view. The third light, instead of dropping below the houses, simply seems to blink itself out of existence. There's actually a lot of information given, which suggests that this guy knew what he was doing. He recorded his postal code as a reference point, estimated the dots to be hovering at a 30-degree angle, and also gives their direction. He is unable, unfortunately, to accurately guess how high they were or how far away, which hinders determining how large they were, but they do seem like they were pretty magnificent. The man went on to say that the area below the UFOs is all farmland and fields. There is no military facility or airport located in the area, and there are no structures that could be mistaken for extraterrestrial craft. Even if there were aircraft known to fly nearby, this array could not possibly have come from a conventional airplane. The way it hovers with 3 points of light moving randomly, it represents something we've never seen before. Number 4. Tallahassee, United States. Charla Dare Brady of Tallahassee caught a strange light hanging over her backyard on June 17th. She and her husband had risen earlier than usual to embark on a fishing trip, and she was sitting on her porch at 4 a.m. when the light appeared. While she stared at it, confused about its origin, she said that it started getting larger and larger, like it was coming towards her at incredibly high speeds. She then panicked for a bit before pulling out her phone and getting the entire scene on video. It seems that when she began recording, the lights became much more animated. They began to rapidly change a multitude of different colors and moved in increasingly random ways. The entire time, it seemed to be getting closer and closer. Indeed, the light begins as a fairly dim speck in the distance and slowly increases during the length of the footage. Although it was not shown in the video because Charla said she had stopped filming at that point, the light thrashed an incredibly bright white and seemed to show a green triangle floating motionless where the light had once been. After a few seconds, this triangle zipped out of sight. Her husband missed this entire scene and said that he was initially extremely skeptical and insisted that her mind was playing tricks on her. He figured that if it had been so impressive, then he would have seen it. At this point, she showed him the footage she'd captured on her phone. With this, he instantly became a believer, saying he had seen nothing like it before and that there was nothing in the area that could have produced such a weird light. The couple has since asked friends to help them get to the bottom of this mystery and say that it couldn't possibly have been any known type of drone or airplane. The movements were far too erratic and were unlike any human flying machine. When nobody was able to identify the object, she sent footage to a local television station, WTXL. They initially uploaded the wrong video, but Charla resent her footage, which was properly posted soon after. After many people doubted her assumption upon seeing the wrong footage, many viewers rapidly changed their minds upon being presented with the correct video taken that morning. Number 3. Eungella, Australia. During an early morning family outing in Eungella, not too far from the northwest coast of Queensland, Australia on March of 2017, a man was with his wife and son when his son pointed towards the sky and asked his parent if the moon was still out. The family were out fairly early at 6:30 a.m. so he figured his son might be correct. He looked up and saw, about 500 meters up, a very strange, round object making its way across the sky in what appeared to be an unerring straight line. It was also moving incredibly fast, which made keeping the camera on the craft a difficult exercise. Given the circumstances, we think he did a pretty good job all around, although it is a bit jumpy. He immediately noticed that the direction of the prevailing winds was blowing in the exact same direction that the object was moving. His wife suggested that it was potentially a glider, but after peering a little longer, they couldn't make out any person maneuvering the craft. He also said that it was much larger than any glider he knew about, measuring what he estimated to be at least 10 to 20 feet in length. Furthermore, the cylindrical features of the craft seemed unlike anything humans have developed. Given the dimensions he is given, this craft doesn't seem likely to be aerodynamic or have any likelihood of staying afloat according to any currently known modern methods. Unigella is a little off the coast and filled with lush, dense rainforest. This environment doesn't lend itself to aircraft, with absolutely nowhere safe to land there or close by. Since his view was eventually obstructed by trees and vegetation, he wasn't able to get the best shot, and the footage was taken on a tablet, which makes the craft difficult to see. For much of the video, it's very difficult to spot, but the times it comes into view do show a UFO much like the one described by the witnesses. When the video clip was tested and analyzed, it was found to be completely genuine. A representative for MUFON Australia has recorded this sighting as remaining unknown, pending further evidence. Number 2. Lower Austria. This footage is very much like that seen in Gosport in Item 5, and both were filmed only 5 days apart in very different parts of the world. That's an incredible coincidence, and there must be something in it. The Gosport lights moved around a little less than the Austrian lights, but both showed clear triangle patterns. The Austrian lights also seemed to spread out over a much larger area, but this doesn't carry much weight as they could have just been closer to the camera. These lights also moved in a very deliberate, albeit slow-moving circle. The guys who sent in the video were friends heading back to the driver's home for the night and had been driving in silence before the lights were seen by the man behind the wheel. They were basically in the middle of nowhere in what's usually a very sleepy section of road. Considering how many UFO sightings are made by individuals, it must have been nice to have immediate support and confirmation from close friends. Bolstered by this fact, the group stopped the car and got out to investigate. They say that the area was almost completely quiet. The hum of insects can be heard, which makes it difficult for us to notice, but they say that there's usually more noise and that the eerie silence was unusual. The lights themselves made absolutely no noise, although the men say that they seemed to be incredibly close by. They were blocked from getting any closer by a fence along the side of the field, but still managed to capture around 40 seconds of very clear video considering it was taken with a phone. The witnesses have apologized for not having further evidence, but say that only one phone was able to take a video and was almost out of space anyway. The lights continued for about the same length as the sighting in the UK, even though the video was much shorter. The lights in Austria continued for another 3 to 4 minutes before popping out of existence one by one. Number 1. South American Picnic. 3 sightings within days of each other in late 2015 and early 2016 caused a wild panic in South America in early 2016. The sightings took place across the span of a week or so in Chile, Bolivia, and Brazil. Each of these sightings seemed to involve different craft, which adds a little doubt as to the authenticity of the videos, but experts haven't been able to find any sign that the footage has been manipulated in any way. The first sighting took place in El Alto in Bolivia. Witnesses captured the UFO on tape, with many further eyewitness accounts reported over the next week. The object seemed to be enormous and cylindrical. Many initially claimed that this video was a hoax, citing the constant zooming in and out as a way to confuse any viewers. The general consensus was that the uploader was simply looking to increase web traffic by purporting a hoax. What happened over the next few days cast a lot of doubt on these accusations and seemed to bolster the evidence that this was, in fact, a real ET craft. Days after the Bolivian sighting, mysterious lights were seen above Santiago, the capital of Chile. Looking like a fleet of long, narrow craft dotted with lights across their length, they shone with a bright orange glow. The girl who captured the footage can be heard losing her mind in the background, and we have to admit that we'd probably feel the same. Even though there seems to be a lot of fog or cloud cover obscuring the objects, they are most definitely hard to miss and are obviously real. Some have claimed that this is probably a military or police exercise, and the lights are probably those of helicopters. If this was the case, we would assume that the government would speak up and help to ease people's fears. They have so far denied any involvement. Our final shot is actually a picture and not a video, but looks unmistakably like a UFO. The witness claims to have been at her son's football game when she took the picture, only to notice the object later on. If this sighting hadn't taken place only days after the other two, it probably wouldn't have garnered any attention. But the large number of confirmed sightings, reported by hundreds of people at the very least, meant that this one was taken very seriously. Do you think something weird was going down in South America in 2016? We're not sure, but we hope that the world keeps their cameras pointed at the sky, just in case. And there, you have 5 alien ships caught on camera and spotted in real life. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like and share it, and if you haven't already, subscribe down below to get notified every single day with new videos from Top 5's finest. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we are out. Most people remember Tarzan the Ape Man from old movies as a funny, yodeling man-beast who could swim like Michael Phelps. Even though the original novel is about an innocent savage trying to get along in civilized society, the character's image has turned into a cartoon over the years. But YouTube is filled with many so-called real-life Tarzan sightings, not of the original Tarzan, but of tribesmen and boys who possess the character's incredible jungle skills. Here's 5 of the most impressive and intriguing Tarzans on the web. Let's begin. Number 5. Tropical Trunk Trot. This Tarzan appears to be from South America. He doesn't have the long hair or muscular shirtless look of the ape man, but he's half a tree-climbing primate all the same. Rather than clawing his way up as American woodsmen do, this young fellow free runs into a massive tropical tree at an incredible rate of speed. In front of an adoring crowd, the athlete almost appears chimpanzee-like with his grace and fluidity getting up and down the highest reaches of the gigantic woven trunk. And we know the clip wasn't cleverly sped up in editing because we can hear the shouting and cheering voices at normal speed. Number 4. Swift Sasa. In one of the more impressive demo clips on YouTube, self-proclaimed real-life Tarzan Sevo Sasa performs a little acrobatic fight action against some unfriendly baddies. But then he jumps into a tropical river, which is where the fun really begins. From running through a shoreline forest, Sasa shows off incredible agility and confidence while performing several impressive maneuvers at top speed. But you'll notice he mostly just floats up to the shore. Remember, to be a genuine Tarzan, you have to swim like Michael Phelps, or at least like Johnny Weissmuller. That's why Sasa only takes number 4 on our list. Number 3. 2 out of 4 ain't bad. This Tarzan character has 2 things going for him. The classic ape man look of long hair and shirtless perfection, though there's no body waxing in the feral jungle, and an amazing kinship with animals. He shows off several adorable feline pets who just happen to be giant, ferocious tigers. But the big cats seem to have a real affection for this Lord of the Tropics, and we doubt he would ever need any draconian circus keeper tactics or cages to keep them under control. Still, there's no footage of this guy swimming or climbing through the jungle, so unless there's some serious skills not shown in the demo clip, he's only halfway home in creating a true Tarzan persona. Number 2. The Genuine Article. Ho Van Lang became a minor YouTube sensation when documentary footage was uploaded of his true Tarzan-like existence. Fleeing into the Vietnam woods with his father when their home was bombed during the Vietnam War, Ho spent 40 years living in the jungle. He and his father fashioned tools out of wood, clothes out of bark, and surprisingly efficient shelter among an abundance of tropical fruit and game. In this clip, You can see the completely savage Ho being handed a mirror upon finally returning to civilization. Having only seen watery versions of his own face, he looks at his reflection as if it were almost alien to him. Number 1. Why's Not Johnny? When the original filmmakers of Tarzan the Ape Man were looking for a star to play the all-important role, Hollywood leading men just wouldn't do. Those who were good woodsmen didn't have the look, and those who had the look often couldn't climb or swim a stroke. So, the producers hired Olympic swimmer Johnny Weissmuller, which was a stroke of genius. Weissmuller turned out to be a solid performer and even helped invent the famous Tarzan yell. But Johnny shined in the water most of all. The athlete turned actor perfected a crawling freestyle stroke that looked absolutely amazing when sped up on screen, and an elegant butterfly technique that helped make love scenes with Maureen O'Sullivan romantic, despite Tarzan's total lack of clever pickup lines. And there, you have 5 Tarzan sightings caught on camera and spotted in real life. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like or share it, and if you haven't already, subscribe down below to get notified almost every single day with new videos from Top 5's finest. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we are out. Mothman is a legendary paranormal creature that was popularized by a rash of sightings in the years leading up to the unexpected collapse of the Silver Bridge in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. These aren't the only ones we know about either. In 2015, a video surfaced that suggested Mothman even inhabits parts of Argentina. This was later found to be a hoax perpetuated by locals looking for their 15 minutes of fame, so we decided to find 5 Mothmen caught on camera and spotted in real life to present you with all the facts. Let's begin. Number 5. Point Pleasant Silver Bridge Collapse. This event that took place in 1967 solidified Point Pleasant as a well-known Mothman habitat. In the few years prior to this enormous event, Mothman sightings had been reported, with one man suggesting that the creature had probably killed his dog after being chased off his property by the unfortunate pup. Whether or not that account is true, the Mothman that was seen around the bridge right before it was collapsed was confirmed to be legitimate by dozens of witnesses. The bridge collapsed during rush hour traffic and was an incredibly tragic accident. 46 people lost their lives when they were plunged into the river below, along with tons of metal and concrete. When the cause of the bridge collapse was investigated, it was found that the entire failure was caused by a single weak link. Amazingly, the constant Mothman sightings that locals had been reporting in huge numbers suddenly stopped after the bridge failed, with none seen in the area for the next couple of decades. This fact was not lost on those who witnessed the event, who said at the time that the failure could not have been mere coincidence. This led many more to believe that the Mothmen were either bringers of doom, with misery following their every move, or sympathetic beings trying to warn us of imminent danger, fueling the legend behind their mysterious appearances. Many people have had run-ins and close encounters with these creatures, but they have never been known to kill a person, which suggests that they are probably benevolent protectors just trying to give us a heads up when something's about to go awry. Number 4. I-35W Bridge Collapse. It seems that these creatures seem to have a soft spot for bridge disasters. Possibly it's because they feel more in their element when it comes to structures that have a little height to them. We're talking about a winged creature here. Whatever the reason, many people had reported seeing a mysterious and strange bird in the area of the bridge in the month leading up to the collapse. When the bridge gave way, it broke apart right in the middle, making it a very serious disaster. Much like the Silver Bridge collapse in '67, this incident took place during rush hour traffic. 13 people died, and a total of 145 people were seriously injured in the fall. As always, skeptics argued that it was probably a crane that people had seen. Everyone who saw the creature says that there's absolutely no denying what it was. The enormous creature had very human characteristics, and the fact that so many many sightings preceded such a tragic catastrophe is a clear sign that paranormal forces were at work. Furthermore, this follows suit with what we have begun to learn about Mothman sightings, namely that these creatures may not be malicious or evil, but instead try to warn us away from imminent danger. Until more people take these sightings seriously, many preventable disasters are likely to be overlooked. It was said that nobody could have predicted that the I-35W bridge would collapse in such a spectacular fashion, but we're sure that the Mothman seen in the month leading up to it was desperately trying to warn us. The main problem with people today is that we're no longer in touch with the paranormal or mysterious happenings around the globe. Since we're so out of touch with these things, we are effectively blinded to the signs that are literally right in front of our eyes, more willing instead to dismiss outright the existence of such fantastic creatures. Number 3. West Virginia State Route 2 sighting. This sighting in West Virginia occurred in 2016 when a man spotted something strange darting from tree to tree on the side of the road. The photographer did not give his name, but said that he was driving home on State Route 2 when he noticed the strange sight. He was aware of the stories of the Mothman, but said he hadn't given it much thought before then. He realized right away that this creature was too large to be a heron or other such bird. The man captured some pretty amazing shots, assuming this is a Mothman and not just a camera trick. Experts have looked over the photos and say that they haven't been doctored. Many suggested that it was probably a heron, but admitted that they had their doubts. The size and position of the creature don't line up with what we know about the form of birds in flight. We can also clearly see that the head and legs aren't bird-like at all. In fact, it looks more like a human in a wingsuit, except for the fact that it was able to fly upwards as well as gliding. Even the world's most impressive jetpack technology is nowhere near that good yet, and would have made a hell of a lot of racket. And all this is forgetting the fact that gliders, wingsuit experts, and jetpack users would all be very aware of the inherent dangers of flitting around trees. Basically, that's a no-no. That really narrows down the list of what this thing could possibly be. We're convinced that this case at least deserves a thorough investigation. The area is famous for its previous Mothman sightings, although they've been less numerous in recent decades, and we do know that the creature is known to prefer the woodlands if it can help it. Perhaps human encroachment on their habitat is forcing these mythical beasts into the open more often than they'd like. Either way, we hope that this sighting wasn't the premonition of some terrible disaster yet to happen. Given that it happened last year, we think that we're probably in the clear, for now. Then again, quite a large number of sightings have preceded their apparent disasters by months, so it could be that this entity was just a little more ahead of the game than most. Number 2. New York Backyard Close Call. This footage was supposedly captured in 2011 in Commack, New York. The kid who posted the video said that he was playing with his friend in his backyard when the two of them suddenly noticed a strange figure watching them from high up in a tree. I think panic would be a good word to describe the emotion that he probably felt. The creature was said to have piercing red eyes and remained motionless for a second or two before swooping down towards the boys. One managed to get his iPod out to take a picture just as his friend took off running. The running boy was close to the back porch of his friend's house, and he seemed convinced that he could make it to safety. Interestingly, the boys say that the creature, which looks unmistakably like a Mothman, actually flew directly towards his friend in the manner that an eagle would descend on its prey. Given what we know about the history of Mothman, this seems out of character. It could be that the boys mistook an attempt to help as an attack. What we do know is that they both claimed Running Kid ducked at the last second, narrowly missing being struck. We don't doubt that this was potentially a proper Mothman sighting, but the facts do seem a little off. Some people throughout history have been terrified of anything mysterious or unexplainable, even when they're being helped. It's in our nature to fear the unknown after all, and it is very much a basic survival instinct. We haven't yet heard of any deaths attributed directly to the Mothman, although another set of witnesses have also claimed that they were the victims of an unnervingly close flyby, with two couples being chased down Highway 62 back in 1966. Again, nobody was hurt, but the entire group was quite visibly shaken when they gave their report to the police. One of the women involved, Linda Scarberry, said that it stood about 7 feet tall, but couldn't guess its wingspan because it had both folded behind its back. She also noted fiery red eyes that seemed to burn with intensity, and that the creature was muscle-bound almost from head to toe. Not many people have been able to give such a detailed account, as Mothmen do seem to be shy. This unexplained behavior could be due to any number of reasons, but it is telling that nobody has yet been hurt during any face-to-face encounter. Number 1. Chernobyl Disaster Mystery Figure. Now, this last one is really freaky. Given that the Russian government is so secretive, it comes as no surprise that this story was almost buried completely. It turns out that locals residing in the area surrounding the town of Chernobyl were sworn to silence on pain of death about the events leading up to the now infamous meltdown. Evidently, authorities didn't want the word to get out that they could have prevented such a horrible loss of human life, as well as untold suffering spanning generations. What we have learned is that a creature that fits the Mothman's description perfectly was repeatedly spotted flying over the town and around the plant in the weeks leading up to the disaster. Those who saw it quickly dubbed it the Black Bird of Chernobyl, and residents made numerous complaints and reports regarding this creature. What makes this tale even more strange is that the government actually seemed to be aware of what was going on, but insisted it was no big deal. In fact, people were threatened and harassed with strange phone calls that repeatedly insisted that they were liars and would be punished. It is clear that there was a purposeful cover-up going on before the nuclear plant actually failed, although the full reach might be forgotten forever by now. With so many reports, why did the government refuse to investigate this matter any further? Additionally, why were those who tried to raise the alarm so immediately and viciously silenced? As with most things that happened before the Iron Curtain at the time, we'll probably never know the answers to these questions. What is clear is that these leaks prove that the Mothman really is a global phenomenon. It's also worth considering that while their habitat is known to be in and around the Americas, the space available to them is rapidly shrinking. Perhaps they're simply migrating to avoid detection, which would explain their resurgence in recent years. Another theory is that the Mothman originated in and around Eastern Europe, with some finding their way across an ancient glacial land bridge that once connected the two continents. If the Mothman is really a protector of humankind, it wouldn't be too far of a stretch to assume that they would have followed us to the New World all that time ago. In fact, it could theoretically be possible that they actively helped our ancestors back then to a degree that we couldn't even begin to think possible today. And there, you have 5 Mothman caught on camera and spotted in real life. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like and share it, and if you haven't already, subscribe down below to get notified every single day with new videos from Top 5's finest. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we are out. As apex predators of the avian world, eagles of all shapes and sizes are terrifying, especially because half the time you won't even see them coming. The bald eagle has clocked flight speeds at 99 miles per hour, and all species tend to swoop in, grab prey with their dangerously strong grip without ever landing. When they do land, prey still trembling in their talons, it's only to rip the creature apart. It's no surprise then that we found these 5 eagle attacks caught on camera and spotted in real life. Let's begin. Number 5. Eagle versus Osprey. On Hog Island, Maine, there's an osprey nest which the bird conservationists at the National Audubon Society and Explore.org set up a live stream from every year. Usually, the camera captures the day-to-day life of the osprey family, birds known for traveling an average of 160,000 migration miles during its 15 to 20-year lifetime. However, in August 2016, something both impressive and heartbreaking was streamed live to osprey fans around the world. While their parents were out hunting, the 3 recently hatched babies, named Eric, Little Bee, and Spirit, were paid a visit by a local bald eagle. With terrifying swiftness, the eagle dove, snatching Little Spirit immediately and causing Little Bee to make his first flight earlier than expected. Spirit sadly was lost, but both other siblings are alive and well. Number 4. Eagle versus Wild Cat. African wildcats, native to northern Africa, the Near East, and the Arabian Peninsula, were some of the first domesticated cats in the world, as their bones have been discovered in human burials from as far back as 9,500 years ago. They're patient and precise when hunting, but they're also no match for the much larger avian predators, as you can see in this video. The African cat spends much of the video stalking small birds perched on a large cement cylinder. At first, the cat seems successful in its hunt, jumping up and taking one of the birds in its teeth when another challenger approaches, an eagle. Based on the speeds of the two predators, were it not for a crop of dead trees that the cat managed to escape into, that eagle might have had lunch and dessert covered for the day. Number 3. Eagle versus goat. So far, we've seen eagles attack two creatures either a bit smaller than themselves or about the same size. Fair fights by all accounts. But wouldn't you like to see an eagle attack something a little more challenging? Then look no further than this video of a bald eagle going talon to hoof with a mountain goat. As the goat's three friends look on in horror, clearly not wanting to get involved for fear that they might be next, our valiant victim gives his winged attacker a run for its money. Literally. At one point, the goat actually races at a nearly 90-degree angle down the mountain, eagle still holding on and a goat friend pursuing both. The goat crashes into a large rock, ramming the eagle as well, but both creatures get back up, still locked in impressive conflict. The goat continues to race down the hill, charged by adrenaline and fear, and finally manages to shake the eagle off once and for all. Number 2. Eagle versus kid. The animal kingdom isn't the only kingdom who must fear the eagle, however. In this video, a young Montreal family plays in the grass, while someone, presumably the father, films a beautiful golden eagle flying overhead. The camera pans down to follow the flight path unconcerned when the eagle changes course slightly by swooping to snatch their toddler. The eagle not only latches onto the child by their tiny coat, but actually manages to lift it several feet forward and away from the ground before the other parents realize what's happened and lay chase. Number 1. America versus Donald Trump. The bald eagle became a symbol of America and patriotism in 1782 when the Great Seal of the United States was being designed. The eagle was chosen because of its status as an historical sign of strength. In fact, Roman legions used it as their symbol as well. So, when doing a photo shoot for Time magazine with the then presidential candidate Donald Trump, it seemed fitting to include a live bald eagle. Unfortunately for Mr. Trump, however, things didn't go as planned because, as we've discovered in the previous 4 entries of this video, eagles answer to no one but themselves. When Trump attempted to grab something from his desk underneath the perched eagle, whose name is Uncle Sam, the eagle lashed out, causing the candidate to recoil in fear. And there, you have 5 eagle attacks caught on camera and spotted in real life. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like and share it, and if you haven't already, subscribe down below to get notified almost every single day with new videos from Top 5's finest. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we are out. Twitch is a famous streaming site where gamers upload their streams, but little did you know, there's a dark side. Numerous ghost encounters, hauntings, and real-life suicides have occurred on Twitch. Many bizarre moments have been documented. There are also a lot of pranks performed by streamers who sometimes tend to lose touch with the outside world. But if any of these videos are pranks, they were clearly taken just a little too far. Here are 5 instances when Twitch turned from stream to scream. Let's begin. Number 5. Self-shutting doors. Rubsy is a famous streamer on Twitch who was asked to take care of a pet while a friend was away. But arriving at his friend's house, his life was about to change forever. He began streaming a gaming video, and then things got out of control. The door behind him slammed shut, which caused Rubsy to jump out of his chair screaming. but the hall was completely empty. Finally, when other things in the house begin moving on their own, Rubsy decides not to be Rubsed out and hightails it for home. Number 4. Haunted Live Video. This haunted live video of a Twitch streamer is simply bizarre. There's a knock on a door that catches the streamer off guard. He asks a friend if he also heard it and then continues the video. Later, he hears the knock again and tells the audience that he's feeling goosebumps. While going to check on his dog, the streamer gets a Skype message with a small beep. The video ends when the camera, microphone, and his wiring fall from the stand onto the table with a loud boom, and the terrified streamer tries to cut the live feed as quickly as he can. Number 3. Match Your IQ. In this video, a Japanese streamer destroys his house in a manner so mundane and avoidable, it's hard to believe the video was staged. While playing Minecraft, the streamer, Daisuke, tries to get a lighter to work, but to no avail. He uses a match to light a cigarette, but foolishly throws the match in a pile of trash. Soon, the matchbox, then the entire bag of litter, is set ablaze. Nothing Daisuke tries to put out the fireworks, and he soon must flee for his own safety. Number 2. Streamer suffers a seizure. It is said that some gamers have died from lack of sleep or simple dehydration because they got so caught up playing a video game that they forgot to sleep or drink a glass of water. Lothar had a slightly different fate. He's playing a card game when his head begins to hurt. He becomes unresponsive, seizes, and faints while the camera is rolling, then falls to the floor and emits a loud and painful moan. Lothar's wife came busting through the door and immediately called the ER, then she tries to give him CPR with no luck. This gamer's ultimate fate is mysterious, but fans felt helpless that there was nothing they could do. Number 1. Suicide Solution. On March 3rd, a streamer called Ice Poseidon decided to film his trip to Hollywood, but the event he witnessed was anything but an act. He was walking around Hollywood Boulevard with his friend when they noticed that a crowd had gathered. To everyone's horror, there's a man on a balcony ready to jump. Ice Poseidon's viewers went crazy as he ran in a fight-or-flight response. Then, a loud scream can be heard in the background. The leaping man had just hit the ground and died. You can bet that Mr. Poseidon wishes he'd gone to visit the LA Strip instead, where heavy metal bands only sing about death and mayhem. And there, you have 5 scariest moments caught on Twitch.tv. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like and share it, and if you haven't already, subscribe down below to get notified almost every single day with new videos from Top 5's finest. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we are out. Vampires have captured our attention throughout history. Nosferatu and many others are now much less popular than the wildly popular Count Dracula. While vampire legends all seem to bring their own unique twist to the genre, they pretty much all feature a pale and ancient monster that survives on the blood of live creatures. They also historically dig bats. While vampire bats are creepy, they aren't the only things out there with a predilection for blood. So we decided to cover a few interesting vampire sightings and vampire-esque critters for you to think about. Let's begin. Number 5. Dracula Monkey. First up is a pretty cute little species which goes by the name of Dracula Monkey. Despite their name, these critters are completely harmless and are actually more threatened by people than we are by them. These creepy looking monkeys were thought to be completely extinct until only relatively recently, when footage of some unmistakable specimens popped up back in 2012. 2 separate teams caught video at 2 separate locations almost simultaneously by using motion-triggered cameras. Also known as Miller's Grizzled Langur, which is a pretty cool name in itself, these monkeys were once known to inhabit Borneo and Indonesia. The discovery was an interesting one for scientists, not only because these primates were thought to be extinct, but also because they were found relatively far from their natural habitats. Clear-cutting and controlled burning of the forest to make way for humans was what initially drove the monkeys to the brink of extinction, so it's good to see that they were able to adapt quickly enough to their changing environment. Their new home in the Wihia forest in Borneo seems to suit them well, and they're slowly growing in number once again. It's a protected area that covers 98,000 acres, although it is hemmed in almost on all sides with very aggressive logging, palm oil, and mining operations. As such, they do remain frighteningly close to extinction, and we can assume that unless some serious action is taken, that they could very easily remain endangered indefinitely, if not completely wiped out for good. Few of those involved in the find had ever seen a real specimen up close. Even then, they had only ever seen a museum exhibit, and almost nothing is known about the lives of these mysterious creatures. First seen in the 1970s, the monkey was extremely rare even before it was initially noted. As can be expected, everyone was incredibly excited about the find, insisting that more expeditions need to be mounted in the future. We'll admit that we were somewhat disappointed that these animals don't share any of the infamous Count's characteristics other than an unsettlingly eerie face. Their hunched forms and vacant expressions framed in small tufts of white fur still do bring pictures of Dracula to mind, although they look far too cute to be able to do any real damage if provoked. If Dracula ever needed a mascot dressed in a tiny little butler suit, however, he now knows where to go to find one. Number 4, 2016. And now we head back to our sightings. This one's pretty good, and we thought you'd like it. It's got a lot of people freaking out with just as many shaking their heads. We'll let you decide what you think about it after taking a quick look. It shows what appears to be security camera footage in a store. The stunned staff also seems to be freaking out a little bit in the phone video taken of the actual footage. Customers are going about their day when a guy walks around the store dressed head to toe in black. He's also got some pretty hipster glasses, so it seems that vampires still have no real fashion sense. Why change a good thing, right? The guy then passes in front of the mirror, and he appears to have absolutely no reflection. Just in case you missed it, you get a good slow motion shot for good measure. Is this just fancy camera tricks with a few actors, or is something weird going on? Tons of people have weighed in, but we're reserving our judgment for now. We know what you're thinking, and you could very well be right. The other people in the store move around a little until the guy in black passes the mirror, when everything gets really still in the image we see in the mirror. A lot of attention has been given to this detail, but it still really doesn't prove or disprove anything per se. It's also noted that if he were to be a vampire, it would go without saying that he wouldn't show up in the mirror. The real question here is whether you'd expect to see his clothes in the same reflection. We don't know what quality led to vampires and other creatures found in lore losing their bodily reflections, but we're pretty sure it isn't inherent in pieces of fabric stitched together. Could be that we're just looking at a really smart vamp, in which case we want that tech. We're gonna say that he should probably get a suit guy to put together something a little more bespoke. Kids these days are always dropping the ball when it comes to looking good, but picturing Count Dracula playing Dungeons and Dragons with this creepy little kid just doesn't add up. If he wants to keep up his reputation as a dangerously cool badass, he's gotta start making his modern converts at least look the part. Number 3, 1946. Our next sighting comes in at number 3 and hails from way back in 1946. This is the kind of stuff we picture when we think Dracula, and it's good to see that this specimen knew what they were doing when they chose their outfit that evening. The sepia tone and grainy footage build up a lot of suspense, and it really sets the mood. The graphic nature of this film is stated outright, and we should warn you, it's a real shocker. It seems that this footage was found and recovered during a construction project in London, which certainly explains the dismal and dreary scenery. It's no surprise that a sighting would come out of rainy and grey London, as the mid-century would have made for a perfect hunting ground. So many poor Londoners, so little time. Life must have been tough. But we digress. Time to get back to the footage we managed to get a hold of. What looks like a mangled doll with its back to the camera sits in the foreground as a cart slowly comes into view. The driver, obviously unaware of the dangers ahead, goads his hesitant horses forward toward the dropped camera. Unfortunately, we don't have any footage that reveals what happened to the original owner, but we can only assume that he was on some kind of outing when he happened across disaster. This vamp definitely did well for himself that day. As the cart passes by, the people on board react to something terrifying. And then, you get surprised with the most ridiculous Christmas tree ornament looking Count Dracula. Sorry, we know. We just couldn't help ourselves. But let's be honest, if vampires aren't supposed to show up in mirrors, why would you expect them to show up on video? It just doesn't make sense, people. We also very much enjoy watching Bram Stoker's Dracula from time to time and figured we'd pull that throwback back out for you. On that note, we're moving back into the land of the living to present you with yet another vampire-based animal that, surprise surprise, hails out of Borneo. It's also relatively rare, seldom seen by humans, and steeped in legends that speak of its terrible and terrifying appetite for blood. Number 2. Vampire Squirrel. Time to get ready for some good old-fashioned myth busting. We're back in the tropics and ready to have some fun with item number 2 on our list. The vampire squirrel has been a staple of Borneo legends for countless generations, striking fear into the hearts of locals and tourists alike. The stories, passed down as lore, say the evil creature has been known to feast on deer and other large animals, even turning its sights to humans when other prey isn't available. If that isn't enough to inspire terror, they've also been known to tear chickens open, devouring the vital organs while the bird is still living. Fortunately, reality finally caught up with the myths when actual footage was caught of these killer rodents. Even more fortunately, the vampire squirrel has been identified as Rheithrosciurus macrotus, better known as the tufted ground squirrel, and is known to be relatively harmless. It is, however, known to be one hell of a scrapper and can hold its own in a fight. This should come as no surprise, considering its biggest natural enemy is the incredibly quick and limber Sunda clouded leopard. The squirrel is probably given its menacing moniker because of years worth of locals watching these frisky fighters take on such formidable hunters. They also have impressively plumed tails that are known to be the bushiest tails of all squirrel species. They're definitely huge, coming in at 130% heavier than the entire rest of its body. This gives it the added distinction of having the largest mammalian tail-to-body ratio currently known. With so much going on with these squirrels, it's hard to believe that there's been so much misinformation spread about them. They do, however, have extremely powerful jaws used to crack open its dinner of Malva parviflora, also known as cheese meal, seeds which are notoriously tough. In order to put the squirrel's vampire-ish tendencies to rest once and for all, a team of brave researchers trekked deep into the forests of Gunung Palung National Park to set up a series of infrared cameras. Hopefully next time they bring back some video footage, but we're still excited to find out. Number 1. Are chupacabras SA vamps? With so many people running around with their devices out snapping pictures of anything odd they come across, we figured we'd raise an interesting point regarding the similarities of chupacabras and vampires. We think that they're, at the very least, long-lost cousins of our more familiar European-style vampires, if not from the very same creator. Think about it, not much is known about chupacabras, and footage is only just recently kicking them into the public eye. Our lore here doesn't really touch on them much, but they're starting to become more prolific. Given that they're literally called goat suckers by locals and are known to drink the blood of both animals and humans, we think that they're probably one and the same. Could be that the chupacabra branch tries a little harder to avoid drawing unnecessary attention by attacking and devouring humans en masse. If this is the case, we think it's commendable, if not still really creepy and disturbing. We also haven't heard of many chupacabra sightings happening during daytime hours at all. In fact, after pouring through heaps of video footage, we were only able to find one source that seemed to suggest chupacabras are able to sustain direct sunlight. Their nocturnal nature, thirst for blood, and general mystery make us think that we're probably onto something here. If you have an opinion, we'd love to hear it. Feel free to add your opinion in the comments section and help us get to the bottom of this mystery once and for all. And there, you have 5 Dracula caught on camera and spotted in real life. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like and share it, and if you haven't already, subscribe down below to get notified every single day with new videos from Top 5's finest. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we are out. Godzilla. Who doesn't know the name? While movies featuring monsters the size of skyscrapers destroying cities and chomping on panicked citizens haven't featured much in the past few decades, we still have a special place in our hearts for the terrifyingly vicious mutant. Born of the sea, Godzilla is said to lurk in the depths, coming to the surface from time to time when driven to wander out of its natural habitat. We're still skeptical, but thought we'd present you with 5 Godzilla caught on camera and spotted in real life to help keep your day interesting. Let's begin. Number 5. Massive Iguana Galapagos. This critter may be small, but it's certainly more than comfortable in the water. It's also the stuff of childhood nightmares and something we wouldn't want to mess with. We just couldn't help ourselves and had to add this quality footage to our list when we saw this tiny iguana tearing apart the reef and wreaking its very own trail of destruction. It